Okay, this is the second grade addition and subtraction within 20 fluency ideas for any of the illustrative mathematics curriculums that are out there. So during the launch, my recommendation is if you have a Bridges placement assessment, that you give that to assess addition and subtraction within 10, which was the first grade first grade fluency standard. And then I'm going to give you a couple of ideas around which specific strategies we want to either highlight during synthesis or work on in small group so that students have some explicit strategy instruction as well. Try to pick ones that go along with the lesson as they're introduced throughout the course of the unit. But you can see the strategies highlighted in the second column in bold to show which ones we're working on and then which manipulatives that we'll be focusing on to help us with that work. So I'm going to share some examples from the lesson as we go through this unit. Hope you enjoy. In second grade, in Unit 1, Lesson 1, we're really looking at what students know about counting and adding and subtracting within 10, which is their first grade fluency standard. And so in that lesson, I would recommend using, if you're looking for a concrete model, either the Reckon Rack, or you can use a beaded ring or a small beaded number line. They're going to recommend using Unifix cubes, which also work. But if we're wanting to do what's behind my back, which is the center game that you're going to be starting with, I tend to like one of these models better just because it's easier for kids to kind of manipulate and hide in their hand. So if I have this many that you can see and this many in my hand, how many are in my hand? So they're going to be working on that within 10 on that first day that you're working on lesson material. So that's how we're going to kind of think about what students are doing in lesson 1. We're wanting to watch and see, are they counting on or counting back? So if I can see that I can see 7, and I want to figure out how many more you have in your hand, can I count on? So 7, 8, 9, 10 to get to 10. Or are they counting back? So I have 10, and I can see that there are 7. How many do I have in my hand? So that's one of the strategies that we're going to be looking for to see if they are doing, or are they using the relationship between numbers. And so that's really going to get us into lesson 2. So in lesson 2, they're really focusing on the inverse operation. And in the second part of the lesson, it asks, what is the difference, or how might we use our understanding of 10 minus 4 and 4 plus 6 equals 10? What's the relationship between those? And so in this section, giving students a number bond that they can use either on a whiteboard or in the lovely divided plate that I was able to pick up from the picnic section. This works really nice to kind of keep everything contained and help students think more visually if they need a concrete model to work with. So that's what they're going to be working on in lesson 2. We want to look for and really call out during our synthesis or our consolidation time this particular strategy. How can we use the relationship between these numbers to help us make sense of problems as we're working on them? Then in lesson 3, we're going to continue to work on those strategies. So counting on and counting back. If your students like doubles, this is one of those places that it's a nice thing to work towards. So what is this idea of our doubles facts? And this is a really nice strategy for some students. It works better for some students than others. I was not one of those students that it worked well for, but some students really gravitate towards that idea. And then once again, thinking about the inverse operation that we might, I can do it this way. Just say that that's 8 for now, that we can work on and focus on. So those are the things that are going to get us through the strategies and the manipulatives that I would recommend for this first couple of lessons. The other way, if you want to think about it with a Reckon Rack, when we're working on the different values. So in the last lesson, they have 4 plus 9 as one of the options. So we can see, okay, I have a group of 10. and then I have 4 more. So when we're thinking about making a 10 and using that strategy, this would be one of those spaces, because we're beginning to introduce that in the latter part of this section A. So that would be that first piece that we could think about. We also have 12. So if I do it this way, 12 minus 4. So could I take the 4 away from there? I could. Or I could take away 2 and 2. So giving students this as a way to kind of model their thinking, you'll be able to more clearly see which strategies they're using. If they're counting each individual piece to make a number, that is one thing that you can work on, having them say, okay, like how many is this? And knowing that's 5, and then how many more do I need to add on to get to 9? I need to add 4 more. I like to have kids think about, can you make the number in one push? So if I have all my numbers over here, can you make 8 in one push? Visualize where your finger's going to go and then make one push. So this is something that you can work on in small group if you would like to kind of assess kids as you're beginning these first couple of lessons.